Welcome to ADHD Friendly. I am Patty. I am an ADHD coach, and I am always looking for ways to thrive with ADHD. If we do things our way, we are setting ourselves up to thrive. If we try to do things the way they work for other people, we end up frustrated. So I'm all about looking for that pathway to thrive. I invite you to join me here at the podcast, but also check out my website, ADHDfriendly.com, for lots of resources that are all focused on thriving with ADHD. This is episode 131. Woo-hoo. We're recording on a different day because I am traveling this week. Going to go and visit the kids I have in North Carolina.
The kiddos.
So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to see my sister too.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
Visit my sister in Nashville and then my kids in Raleigh. So I'm a little off my game. I'm feeling like, this is like one of the benefits of a routine is it allows us to just kind of go on autopilot. And then when we throw ourselves out of our routine, it's like, where am I? What's happening? But I've got some fun things to share today. So let's start as we always do with a celebration. Our topic will be exercising with ADHD. But as always, I'm going to start with that celebration. So my first celebration is checking in on the tally as we do.
Subscribers.
Move everything so we can see it. So we are, like I said, recording a couple of days early, but still, I'm so super excited.
Oh my gosh.
I know, even though it's not even been a full week. We still went up 12 subscribers.
That's amazing.
Welcome each and every one of you. So appreciate you taking the time to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If you listen or watch and haven't done it yet and are open to it, we'd love to have you represented. So thank you. So grateful for that. My other celebration, I think I've shared in the past my nail struggles.
Yes.
So I stopped. I was totally into a routine of getting my nails done about every 3 weeks, with a no chip gel manicure. And my local nail place raised their price about $5. Was $5 from where it was. And it was just enough of a hike with the price of everything else going up. And I understand, I'm not at all judging like people needing to make money. I understand, the cost of things are going up, but it was just such a difference in price that I was like, I can't justify that expense when I'm calculating it out over the course of a year. And I'd sat with my calculator and you add tip to it. And I was just like, this isn't sustainable. I can't do this. So I stopped and I started doing the nail polish strips, which I liked a lot. They were actually one of my favorite things, but over time I noticed some things that were really fatiguing. Like they would like wrinkle on the corners and different things, would kind of like, just kind of drain my energy. Because when I looked at my nails, they just would, be like I was like, and then I just started painting them myself with regular nail polish, which, only lasts like 2 or 3 days. So it's really, really hard to keep up with, but because my nails distract me so much when they look chipped, I can't tolerate it. It's a huge toleration for me. So it drains my energy. So I did this deep dive of research, reading all these reviews, trying to figure out, is there a gel at home manicure system that I could try? And so this is not a favorite thing yet because I've just done them. If you're watching this, check them out. This is not quite a week, almost a week old. But I did travel this weekend and they held up through all of the, security and luggage into the overhead bins and all of that. And I'm just thrilled with them. I'm really happy.
Really good.
So the one I tried was Beetles.
Cute.
Gel nail polish. It's all in one, the Mani kit. It was $27.99 on Amazon. It had 4.4 out of 5 stars with over 9,200 reviews. I know. Wow. So I was like, okay. And a little like side story. I was a nail technician back in the day. I went to school and became certified in North Carolina. Because that was my plan B for when I did it while I was teaching, because I realized I didn't want to teach when I had kids because I was a special education teacher. And I just really quickly realized I am not going to be able to put the kids on the bus at the end of the day and go home and parent kids. I was done at the end of the day. And so I thought, well, I need to find something I can do where I could still make some money. And of course my brain went to nails because it's what I've always loved. And I was like, oh, I'll go and learn how to do nails and I'll get certified so that I can do nails out of my home.
Love it.
before I knew I had ADHD. And my husband still teases me. I think it was like a $700 school. And he's every time I do my notes, he's like, oh, so that's part of our seven. Like, yeah, I'm saving us money, saving us money. I am. So I digress. So I've always been interested in keeping up with my nails. So I got this little kit, and I'm not gonna,
box is cute.
I know it's stinking cute.
So
I was
cute.
very excited when I got it. You know, sometimes I think I don't care about the packaging, but you know, I like the Apple products packaging.
Yeah.
Which I thought was just an Apple thing, but now I'm like, oh, apparently I like this
You're like, I
packaging.
like
So
it.
again, this was $27.99. Came with 6 gel nail polish colors, came with the top coat, the base coat, came with nail files, like a whole little nail kit, like,
Yeah.
you know, like the little cuticle pusher and everything. And it came with the UV lamps. I'm just gonna give you a little hint. If you're listening to this, I invite you to check out my YouTube channel, ADHD-Friendly. Came with everything in it. You can see on the side there, the nail polish colors all
They
lined
give
up.
you a lot too.
I know. So the bottles are small. Like
Yeah,
they're smaller
little
than
guys.
a regular size nail polish. So I'm thinking probably maybe two manicures per bottle would be my
Sure.
guess. But honest to goodness, this whole kit and this one
Yeah.
manicure is already less. This was $27.99. So it was already less than getting my nails done once.
That's amazing.
So not a favorite thing yet, but stay tuned. It could be.
might
But my
be.
celebration is that I found something to try the best my nails have looked since I stopped going to get my nails done about 6 months ago. And I forgot how much I loved a no chip manicure.
know.
It's just, I can, you know, wash the dishes and do the things without my nails. I'm constantly like, there goes another one. And
Don't want to chip.
so right now I'm loving it. I haven't had to take them off yet.
We'll see.
That's a whole other thing.
We'll be back.
That's why it's not a favorite thing yet. We'll see. We'll see over time how much I love them, but right now, or how long they last.
Yeah.
So, but it is a celebration that I found something that is very sparkly, and it's so far holding up. All right, now for the tool for this week. So this came from say General Hospital, because I saw GH on my notes. Used to be a big General Hospital. I'm really all over the place today. I apologize. Really? Oh,
Yes.
thanks, Becca. Make me.
No.
Becca is young enough to be my child. Okay, so anyway, it was a Good Housekeeping article. It's just like we sound any younger, but I was reading Good Housekeeping since my mother subscribed, and I used to read it for the comics. I used to go through. I remember sitting in the floor and reading the little comics in the corner. They don't do the comics anymore. But I have subscribed to Good Housekeeping since I moved out of my house when I was 18, and I kept it going.
They got
I know they do. So anyway, I digressed again. Sorry, guys. The article is called "How to Keep Your Home on Trend for Spring and Summer." I see Becca's laughing because she knows. I immediately got triggered with this reaction of, oh my gosh,
My house not
do I have to keep my house trendy for the like not just for holidays, but for like spring? And here's what I remembered, and I'm not going to say her name, but you'll know who you are when I share this story. But there's a neighbor in Texas. And if you listen to this, I say this with love, because we're still friends, and I love her, but she was the only person I knew who did this. And she had rugs and curtains and like throw pillows and different like blankets for the beds for spring and for fall. So I would go over and she was like, oh, I'm rolling up the rugs to bring out the spring rugs. And I just always, like at the time I was like, you have spring rugs? Yeah. And I have, she had like different curtains
for the different season.
Yeah. Not Christmas. Like I understand, like, if you're decorating for a holiday, but this was just seasonally.
This was just
and it was like at such a level beyond my executive functioning. Like I didn't even have, like I needed throw rugs. Like, or like the throw rugs I had vomit and dog pee and whatever on it. No, it was kid vomit, but it could have been dog vomit too. And so all I was thinking was what needs to be replaced, not like having the ability and awareness of, oh, it's time to seasonally change that out and clean them to store them for the few months
for
before
next season.
Like, oh my gosh, so beyond my level of executive functioning. So when I read this just the title of the article, it brought me right back to the place of, are you kidding me? Is this like, do we not have enough that we're trying to keep up with as human beings on planet Earth, that now we're supposed to be on trend?
Right, your house has to be trendy for
like not even clothing, just like, come into my home and see how trendy my. Can't do it, guys.
No.
Like gotta be honest, can't. But here's what happened. I got out of my overwhelm, out of my judgment, my irritation with the expectation that I should keep up with this trendy home thing. And I read the article and I did find some sparkly ideas.
Yay.
So that's what I'm going to share. Thank you for letting me vent. But first, so the things that it talked about recommending were new throw rugs, no surprise, just like my girlfriend in Texas. This was a little overwhelming. Painting the walls to I know. Painting to transform the color. So these weren't the very, very sparkly things. These were the things I was like, ah, but some things that I'm more into now that I live in Chicago as opposed to North Carolina. I could see like needing lighter bedding because, you know, you want like the down filled, like really heavy comforter to stay warm, but maybe a lighter quilt.
Yes.
I've been on the lookout for like a light kind of summer quilt that would be like a sparkly color.
Cooling,
I would really enjoy that.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, that's kind of what I wasn't thinking about it in terms of trend. I was thinking about it in terms of, I don't like sweat.
I'm going to say being comfortable while sleeping.
Yeah. But I could see that being very sparkly. And what I know is when I get something new, it does create interest in that space and it does motivate me more to keep that space clean and neat and tidy. So another thing that they shared was like houseplants, just getting like a new houseplant. And you know, I had to sacrifice my aloe plant.
You did.
And I need to get a new aloe plant. So I'm like, oh, if I got a new like pot to put the aloe plant in, I think that would be very sparkly to get a new houseplant. So I like that idea. They recommended in the article, I don't know what kind of plant this is. I'm not, you know, I don't do well with plants historically, changing it around. Birds of paradise. I don't know what that is.
I know it's a plant.
Sure.
And I think maybe
I think it's also a bird.
A beverage. I
don't
like
know.
A cocktail.
It could be. I have no idea.
I could have made that up.
And they also recommended different varieties of palms in rattan baskets.
Oh, how
not
fancy.
wicker, rattan. I don't know what the difference is between rattan and wicker is. Maybe it's a different fiber or not even a fiber,
is it
but
similar?
I think of them as interchangeable.
Okay.
But I'm not on trend, so don't listen to me. The other was fruit on china, like on pitchers or serving platters. And that you would display when you're not using them. That apparently fruit is very trendy.
Okay.
This is when I totally get behind scents because in the spring it's all citrusy.
Yes, and fresh.
And maybe floral. Didn't recommend floral. I don't do floral, but the citrus, I was like, oh yeah. So it recommended lemon, orange, and green basil, which is there another color of basil? Why do we have to say green? That feels redundant.
Wouldn't we just say basil?
That's what I would say, but they called it green basil. So I'm quoting Good Housekeeping here.
Okay, green basil.
Green basil, not purple or pink basil. If there's another color basil, again, I'm not really good at plants, so there very well could be, and I just don't know. So the things that I found really sparkly were kind of the blankets or even just a throw blanket.
Yes.
Maybe some throw pillows. I know like when I bring out my Christmas throw pillows, those are sparkly. And the citrus scent. I'm like, okay, those created, even when I was reading the article, I got out of that judgment. I was like, oh, that is sparkly. Okay. Yes, I could see that pulling me into a room, being energized. And when I go into them, like, oh, I forgot. It's kind of like when I move my furniture around, I'm like, oh, yeah, it just looks different. And again, it can create some energy, a little motivation to keep it clean and tidy because I'm enjoying that space more. So I wanted to share that tip as an idea to explore. If not so much staying on trend, I'm really pushing back on the on trend because that feels like an expectation.
Totally.
For me, if that works for you, great. But if it doesn't work for you, shifting that expectation to what would make my house sparkly so that I'm excited to enter a room or enter a space or clean a room because it has something that's creating that interest, that's upping that level for our brain to get engaged when we enter that space. So that's it. That's my tip for the week. All right, now a quick word from our sponsor, which is ADHD Friendly. Enjoy. All right. Hi, I'm Patty with ADHD Friendly. The reason that ADHD Friendly exists is to support you to thrive with ADHD. I invite you to check out my membership community, ADHD Friendly, by visiting my website, not surprisingly named ADHDfriendly.com. ADHD Friendly is for people like us who struggle with executive function skills. So we might run late, we might forget things, we might have lots of intentions, but maybe struggle to follow through. ADHD Friendly is designed to meet you where you are and help you to follow through. So it's all about learning and then implementing. Because when we learn what we need and we implement it, we thrive. And I just got fireworks in the background. You have to tell me if these show up on the video. I digress again. That's it, guys. ADHDfriendly.com. We're thriving with ADHD. And now back to the program. All right. So the topic for this week.
Yeah, what
We're
are we
gonna
talking
we're talking
about?
about exercising with ADHD. I did this topic for my
Woo!
membership community. We did a deep dive. We did
Yeah.
an exercise menu, lots of fun.
It was fun.
I wanted to bring that information here and share a bit of it, just around how exercising supports our brain and maybe some ideas of what, if you're struggling with an exercise routine or exercise habit, what could create some sparkle just to get you into it a little bit more easily. I want to, before I even go into that, you know about my disclaimers. I am not a medical provider. I am not an exercise specialist. I don't have any special training to advise in any capacity, shape, or form. I am simply sharing information from the research that I did. Please always check with a healthcare professional before implementing or adding any new workout component to your life. Okay, enough with the little disclaimers. So I talk about exercise as being one of the big three. Those are the three foundational pieces that support our brains with ADHD to thrive. If we're not solid on sleep, nutrition, and exercise, everything we layer on top is going to be impacted. So it's just not going to have the same benefit as it would if those foundational pieces are where we need them to be able to thrive. And exercise is the third of those big three.
Woohoo!
So I'm going to quote Dr. John Ratey here. He is the author of the book Spark, The Revolutionary New Science of Exercise and the Brain. And Dr. Ratey says, exercise is the single most powerful tool you have to optimize your brain function. I love when people say things definitively in a way that resonates. Sometimes people say things and I'm just like, all right, get over yourself. Like settle down. Like, who do you think you are? But this totally resonated with me because it is a strong statement, but it also is a very clear, impactful, but also empowering statement that if we take little bits where we can to add some exercise to our day, it really does have a beneficial impact on our brain. So let's talk about that. What's in it for me? You know, I'm always about the WIFM. What's in it for me? When we are exercising, we have improved executive function. So we are able to have enhanced inhibition, meaning that we can hit that pause button. We can slow things down and resist distractions, or maybe take a beat before jumping in and saying something, or committing to something before we check our calendar. It just gives us a chance to not be as impulsive. We also have our working memory is working better, which like you read that. When I read this, I was like, I was even more motivated to exercise because I was like, my working memory is just shot. So anything that can improve that, I'm all for.
Oh, yeah.
It also strengthens our cognitive flexibility. So our ability to literally shift between tasks, to be able to shift our thoughts. So we're not, really fixating on one thing and not able to move in a different direction. It's also increasing the neurotransmitters that stimulant medication targets, which are dopamine and norepinephrine. So it's literally acting similar to a stimulant medication that we take when we have ADHD. If you're taking a stimulant medication, it's working in a similar way. And it can also guard against stress, which again, sign me up.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So even if we know all of these really positive, impactful benefits, the what's in it for me is really strong. With ADHD, we might know what we need to do. We might know the benefit of doing it, but we still can struggle to do it. This is that dynamic that can be just so debilitating when we have ADHD. So I want to highlight some of the challenges that can get in the way of exercising when we have ADHD. That black and white, all or nothing thinking. So it could be maybe, I'm not going to do it unless I can do it at this level. That perfectionism absolutely will undermine the efforts to begin. So have a plan B. Maybe, it'd be great if I was doing this, but have a plan B. So if that plan, when you go to do it, you're just not feeling it. So let's say, like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to run a mile every day. Okay. But if the day comes when you wake up and you're like, I'm not feeling it, a plan B will allow you to still move forward instead of that all or nothing. Like, never mind, I'm not feeling a mile, so I'm not doing anything. Maybe you could get up and just run to the mailbox and back. And then you can stop if you want to, but it's still more than nothing. So a plan B can be a game changer. Make it easy to start by making your goal stupid small. This comes from the Mini Habits book by Stephen Guise. I have it right over here at my fingertips. I do.
Mini Habits. Yeah.
I do.
In the middle. Second
Oh,
show.
thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I'm used to looking at the spine. Stephen Guy's fabulous book, Game Changer, really small, like
Yeah, nice.
really
quick-
easy
quick
read,
read.
but a game changer. I have two of them because one wasn't enough. Like I literally have one on hand. So if somebody comes and they don't have it, I want to be able to be like, oh my gosh, here, take this one.
Right,
It's
here
like
you go.
such a game changer. And I've used that language so much, stupid small, like make it so small that you're just like, that's ridiculous. I can absolutely do that with no problem. Great. Then you can build consistency.
Yeah.
That's the place that we struggle with
Love
ADHD.
that.
Have a clear and actionable plan. So decide what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, how long you're going to do it. I feel like I should say that's what she said. Sorry, that's where my brain goes. Okay, so I wanted to share the example with my exercise habit. So I am now, this is exercise 131. I am the podcast and my yoga routine started in the same week.
Yeah.
So I am now on my 131st week of doing yoga Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for at least 2 minutes. And I have not missed a single Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Thursday that entire time. And it feels, even as I'm saying that, a little boasting, a little braggy. But I have to tell you, 131 weeks ago, I had been trying to do any amount of yoga for years and just could not crack the nut, could not crack the code. Doing the mini habits approach is stupid small is what did it. The 2 minutes, like basically if you get the mat out and sit down on it and stretch for a minute, you're done.
You did it.
Like that's it.
I love it.
So my yoga habit, I figured that if I did it at 5:30 in the morning, because I'm just an early riser, it's just a natural thing. It always has been. Once I get ready for the day, I'm not going to sit on the floor. I don't care if it's on you. Like, I'm just not going to do it. So you have to honor your own resistance. I also noticed I wouldn't do it in the bedroom because I was afraid I would wake up my husband, or I was afraid he would get up while I was doing it and he would see me doing it. And I'm just not at all confident in the yoga poses that I want anybody else seeing them. It's why I won't do a yoga class either. I just need to do it on my own. So what I found worked for me was to keep the mat rolled up in the bathroom. And I just move the throw rugs every morning and I just roll the mat. There's barely enough room for me to just diagonally to do it. And it's the time and the place I have the least resistance, because I'm not waking up my husband because I'm in the bathroom and I can shut the door. Nobody else can see me. Nobody else is coming in there.
Your own little
And
space.
it's before I've gotten dressed and everything in the morning. So I'm just literally like brush my teeth, sit on the yoga and just start. And so I also do yoga with Adrienne, which she just has such, I think, a very ADHD friendly approach, not judgmental. She's a very meet you where you are, even though it's a recording. It's just very honoring. It's like, yeah, maybe you're here, or maybe you're here, or maybe you're just here, and it's all okay. And it was the first time I've ever had any experience with a yoga routine where I felt like I've had like people in classes, which I've only done like 3 times. And every single time was like such an uncomfortable nightmare where they're like, oh, no, you really need to. And I'm like, please, like, I really can't take feedback right now. Like, I'm literally like overwhelmed just being in a group of people I'm not flexible. I never have been. So I'm like, please don't comment on my lack of flexibility because I'm aware of it. I don't need you to highlight it.
Don't point it out.
So, and then the 2 minutes. So I'll start a routine. And in the beginning, if I couldn't do the length, and most of the yoga with Adrienne routines are 15 to 25 minutes, I would say, the ones that I do, I would just turn it off. And it might take me a whole week, like the Monday through Thursday, to get through one 20-minute routine because I was only doing a few minutes at a time. But it was the consistency. And that's what I learned is so true. It's the remember, with ADHD, we're consistently inconsistent. So anything we can do consistently is a game changer. So now, like pretty much my bare minimum, it's really 5 minutes if I'm like so sick or, but like, I don't remember the last time I did a 2 minute. I just don't. I think it was when I went on my cruise a year and a half ago was the last time I did a 2 minute routine because we left at like 4 in the morning or something. But I will do it anywhere, anytime I can fit in 2 minutes. Like it's absolutely possible to be consistent with that. So I share that just to have you explore if you were going to look for the stupid small habit around exercise that's sustainable. It has to be sustainable. If there's resistance, it will get in the way. So acknowledge the resistance and adjust. And then the last challenge could be not wanting to track or acknowledge progress. So it's like, well, you know what? I'm not going to talk about it or track it until I reach this level. We have to see that progress to acknowledge it. So I track mine on I have a desk calendar that every day when I come in, I get to put a red X on it. I write yoga on the top, at the top of the X, and I put the amount of time I did the yoga on the bottom part of the X. I have so many of those rip sheet calendars saved up now. It's very, very sparkly, and it pulls me in every day still to go and write that down. Tracking is a game changer, and it's visual, it's external. You can track online. I'm going to encourage you to explore an external, concrete, visual way to track, so that it's like seeing that thing is like, oh, I don't want to miss this. I want to check it on the calendar. I'm a big calendar fan too, because it just shows you that progress over the course of time. And it also helped me to realize I started by not even being able to do a plank, or being able to go like from a transition from downward dog down to, like, I can't even think of terms right now. My brain is just so foggy this morning. Whatever it's called, when now you're laying flat on your stomach and then you go up to, like Cobra. I didn't have the upper body strength to even push up to Cobra. And if I didn't write that down and acknowledge it, which was really uncomfortable to realize I didn't, but then it became suddenly this day I realized I could do that whole vinyasa where I was like, oh my gosh, I can do it. And it was so stinking satisfying. So I encourage tracking and acknowledging where you are so you can see that progress. We don't go from 0 to a marathon. We have to train and build up our stamina. But again, checking with your healthcare provider before starting. Okay. And then I wanted to share some strategies to explore. So first is buddy up. Buddy up. Buddy up. It can be more fun, more interesting. And it's that accountability if you're doing it with someone else. So if that's at all possible. And something I found during the pandemic is it can be virtual. If you don't have somebody nearby, I love to go on a virtual walk. It just literally, the time just flies. Oh yeah. So buddy up if you can. Make an exercise menu. I shared this with my ADHD-friendly membership community, where I have the different categories: walk, yoga, weight training, things that make me sweat because I just hate sweating, and things I do with others, where I wrote down the things that I like to do in each of the categories, so that if I'm not sure what I want to do, I can look at it and really quickly, easily remember, oh, I'm tired of walking. Where could I walk that I haven't walked lately? So I have like the favorite things I like, places I like to walk on here. I have my favorite yoga with Adrian routines on here. And then where I put pictures. So I have like the strength training. I added the pictures so I can remember what I could do for strength training, so that it's easier for my brain to hold on to and access that information. If an exercise menu is interesting to you, I invite you just to, begin with where it's easiest. Write down the things that you could do. Keep it someplace that you can see it so that you can access it. Keep it interesting. So research shows that if you are doing an exercise inside that you can do outside is more stimulating to your brain. So if you're walking on a treadmill or running on a treadmill or doing yoga, do it outside, because you'll get more benefit for your brain just by going outside if that's possible. Build in rewards. So it could be, I get to blank when I'm done today, right? So often we don't do as well with longer term rewards because it's not now brain wiring. So if you need like that instant gratification, what will you give yourself after you exercise today? But for me, when I was building on my yoga routine, because I've spent so much money on different exercise equipment over the years that I've never used, like, oh, I'm going to do this and then I'll start exercising. Oh, I'm going to buy this and that'll be the thing that gets me into exercising. Never worked. So I decided I had to do my yoga for 4 weeks, and then I had like an old yoga mat that I bought before and, always struggled, but I wanted a thicker one. And I'm like, you can buy that if you keep this up for 4 weeks. And then like I had another thing after like 6 weeks, I could get the yoga blocks and the yoga strap, and I bought a yoga blanket and like all of these, like, but they were like things I got over time that made it very sparkly. Create a workout playlist. So kind of like my yoga or my exercise menu, but a playlist can be something you're listening to. So it could be a list of, a song playlist that you just hit play and they're very energizing music that you listen to while you're working out. But it could also be a playlist of podcasts that you like to listen to while you're working out, or a book that you're going to listen to. So you're keeping that kind of special that you're doing while you're working out. So you're looking forward, it's pulling you into it. Remember, pull is always better than push. We don't want to push ourselves. We want to have something pulling us into it. And then if it works for you, share your plan. I always say I only share the plan when I know it's like when I signed up for my half marathon, I signed up because I knew paying for it, like a thing I had to go to, as opposed to like equipment on my own, but signing up for a class or paying like a personal trainer, which I haven't ever done, but I know that would work for me because it's paying somebody else. Like buying equipment and bringing it into my house doesn't have the same, but paying for something outside of my home works. So I signed up for a half marathon, but I told nobody. And I mean, even my husband, I told nobody. And I just slowly started because I didn't know if I could do it. I knew I'd be motivated to try. And then if it didn't happen, it wasn't because I didn't try, it'd be because I just wasn't able to do it. And I made a very slow, I literally ran to my mailbox and then I ran to the neighbor's mailbox and I just added one mailbox at a time, just to see, could I even run? Because it'd been so long since I ran that I needed to show myself before I felt comfortable telling anybody else. And then I made it a very public thing because it worked for me at that time. But until that time, I told nobody. So I always say, if that works for you, share your plan. If that accountability works. I know my husband got me a Fitbit years ago. And when I went to use it, he told me that I was like in this group. And I think it was just my immediate family, but I was like, no, I don't want people knowing if I did it or not. Like that was like a no-go for me.
They don't need to
I
see
like
what
took
I'm
it
doing.
off. I would never wear it again. I was like, no, exactly. It felt like an expectation instead of an invitation.
I want
so
to
it didn't work for me. So remember, creating consistency is key, and we are often consistently inconsistent. So we have to lower the resistance so we're being pulled, not pushed into what we're trying to do. So I want to share this quote from James Clear. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. Just another like completely life-changing book. Love it, love it, love it. So he says, this is his quote on consistency. He says, in theory, consistency is about being disciplined, determined, and unwavering. In practice, I feel like I'm stuttering consistency. Consistency is about being adaptable. Don't have much time? Scale it down. Don't have much energy? Do the easy version. Find different ways to show up depending on the circumstances. Let your habits change shape to meet the demands of the day. Adaptability is the way of consistency. Oh, I literally love this so much, James. So much. You go play gym? I don't know. I don't feel like I know you well enough to do that. So what will work for you to be more consistent? Is the exercise sparkly enough for you? Remember, adapt it. Make it like my yoga example, 2 minutes. Make it so small, there's no way that you can't do it. It has to be this like almost ridiculous level of smallness. It's like, of course I could do that. Great. That's what we need. So you have the consistency. All right. That's it for exercise.
Woo!
Now on to my book of the week.
All right.
All right. This was my book club book, which my book club meets tonight. So I finished it right under the wire. I finished it this morning.
What's it called?
It's called I Must Betray You. It's by, and I'm not going to say her name correctly. I'm really not very good at pronouncing names. Ruta, R-U-T-A, Sepetys, S-E-P-E-T-Y-S. Look up there. If you're looking, you can get a good visual of it. It is about Romania in the 1980s when they were under communist rule. It's written from the lens of a 17-year-old boy who lives with his sister and his parents. And I had no idea. It was such a great, it's historical fiction. It was such a great descriptive book about what it would be like to live in a communist country. It was so, I felt like it was a little stressful, it was a little tense, but it literally put me in that space, which is one of my favorite things about historical fiction, where I feel like I can experience something that I never experienced before. It was really well written. It was a very quick read. I started it on Friday. It's Monday that we're recording. So and I was traveling, so it was like a really easy thing to get into and read. So I do recommend that book. I Must Betray You. All right, and now for the quote of the week. Becca, I'm moving away from Kevin Kelly today.
What?
I know. I'm going with some quotes from my Arnold Schwarzenegger book.
All right.
Be Useful, which such a great, really, really good book. So I'm going to share 3 quotes from him. So he says, if you only aim for the smaller goal, the big goal is automatically out of reach.
Oh,
I love that so much because I find that a lot of us, our tendency is to stay small It's like we can get like, I'm going to stay small, I'm going to stay safe, I'm going to stay in my comfort zone.
Bubble.
We don't grow if we don't step outside our comfort zone. So I love that when he says, if you aim for that smaller goal, the big one's not even on the table. Like it's not even an option. So that resonated. He also says the only limits that truly exist are in our mind. So that kind of ties to that. If you're just limiting yourself to the small goal, you've cut yourself off from the larger goal. And it's all in your mind. You can do anything.
Yeah.
And here's my absolute favorite one that has a tie into what we've been talking about with exercise and consistency and ADHD. He says, there is nothing more energizing than making progress.
Ooh.
Come on, Arnold. I know I was going to talk about this today. It's so stinking good. All right. So just a really quick recap. We talked about that seasonal trends where we're kind of shifting that lens to how to sparkleize if you want to kind of create a little more interest in your living space. Make it work for you. And then we talked about exercising with ADHD. If you have some tips that you have found work for you with ADHD, I invite you to post them in the comments for episode 131. We all learn from each other. Share your successes, share your strategies. If you try any of ours, we'd love to hear how they work for you, because we're all trying to thrive with ADHD. So that's it for this episode of ADHD Friendly. Remember, as always, take what works for you, leave the rest behind. If you haven't subscribed yet, we invite you to do just that. And we'll flip the cards next week when we are back for our next episode. Until then, tally ho.